Time now for the press review with Alitza. French papers, of course, reacting to the first round of the municipal elections, Alitza.
That's right, Stuart. So let's take a look at some articles and front pages here, starting with the French paper Les Echos that says that there's a sharp drop in voter turnout, only 56%, which is quite low for one of France's favorite elections, writes the paper. And an editorial here in Les Echos says that we are seeing a rise of extremes, which is quite of a worrying signal before the 2027 presidential elections. And then Catholic paper La Croix says that there is no clear trend emerging on a national level, and it calls the first round quite scattered. The Catholic paper writes that the second round is shaping to be intense. And then right-wing paper Le Figaro here says that there was a major shake-up in the first round. It says that the solid position of the extreme right National Rally Party and the spectacular rise of the extreme left France Unbowed Party shows an increasingly fragmented political landscape. And that's also an opinion that's echoed in a French left-wing Libération here, that says that after 2 terms under French President Emmanuel Macron, the democratic crisis has worsened in France. Stuart.
Let's move to Cuba now, something different. People taking to the streets to protest against the worsening living conditions there.
That's right. The Wall Street Journal here reports that Cubans are blaming the authoritarian regime for their, quote, dire living conditions. So they took out to the streets in Moron, here we see on the picture, and they sacked the headquarters of the ruling Communist Party. They set the headquarters on fire and made a bonfire with the furniture there from the office. And then Spanish paper El País here reports that Havana has confirmed that it is currently in talks with the United States. And it explains that people are protesting because Cuba is on the brink of an economic collapse after an oil blockade was recently imposed by US President Donald Trump. And then Spanish paper here, Dario de Cuba, quotes a pro-Kremlin Russian author who says that Russia may lose one of its biggest historic partners, which is the Cuban regime. And the Russian writer says that Russia has invested tens of billions in dollars in Cuba since the Soviet era.
Now, next, Alyssa's found for us a very bittersweet story. It's a story of recovery after a horrific act of violence.
That's right. It's the story of this woman. Her name is Emin Yilmaz. And 3 years ago, only in the blink of a couple of seconds, her life was completely shattered and changed. She was commuting to take an extra shift as a barista in Manhattan. She was in one of the subways when a man grabbed her from behind and slammed her into a passing subway car, which left her handicapped, and she now cannot move her body. She has to stay in this electric chair that we see here. And she told the New York Times that she's shattered and angry, but she's learning to accept and reclaim her new life. So a big help and a tool for her recovery is art. She's an artist, and she uses that as a way to feel at peace and settle her mind, she says. So here we can see a picture that she has drawn of herself, her sister, and her mother. It was quite hard. It took almost 3 days because she had to take breaks because her arm hurts. But she's learning to adapt to her new reality, Stuart.
Yeah, beautiful talent, very bittersweet, as you said. And finally, Alitza, researchers in Britain, they've been studying why fewer women want to have babies.
That's right. Well, British paper The Times here says that around 3 million women across the UK will miss out on motherhood, despite the fact that many of them want to be mothers. Why, you might ask? Well, they say it's because of immature men, Stuart.
I thought it would be our fault. I'm not saying it's not, but...
Well, there are many complex factors, okay?
Yeah.
But this study is looking into what is called the maturation of men, and the fact that men nowadays, our generation, is taking way longer to become like economically stable, to get out and live on their own, to get a job, and of course to also have children, which also delays the process for women. And in England and Wales, the birth rates have fallen to a record low, and for women it's hard to commit, since for many men being a teenager extends way beyond their 20s, Stuart.
But how far beyond their 20s? I think I'm probably beyond that by now, but...
We should ask you.
Yes, no comment. Alyssa, thanks a lot. Alyssa Canada with the papers for us on France 24.